Welcome to Year of an Indie Writer, Week 17. Now, the first thing you're going to think of is, hey, why isn't Scott talking on the video, and why is he not writing something down for a post? Well, it's something new I've been trying. So, this is the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, and I think you've seen a lot of people do the at-home broadcast, whether they're musicians or comedians or entertainers. And I've always kind of wanted to do video, but never took the opportunity to do it until this week. So my very first published novel is called Wading into War, and the events of that story take place on April 22nd, 1940. Which, if you know your calendar, the April 22nd, 2020 was just this past Wednesday, 80 years to the day. So as the date came up, I was thinking of a couple of things I could do. One, of course, is to make a sale, put the book on sale and say, hey, it's been 80 years, go buy the book. Instead of doing that, I decided to read the book all the way through. And that is when I decided to make a video. I made actually 19 chapter videos plus a beginning and an ending, and that was 21 videos. So I dropped them this past Wednesday, Thursday, and yesterday. And so I kind of got the bug for the videos. And as the week wound down and it came time for me to do my next Year of an Indie Writer installment, I said, why not do video? Why not do video? Now, I started this whole Year of an Indie Writer thing for educational purposes, partly my own and partly for the people who have come behind me. This entire process of writing life, there's always going to be people ahead of you, and there are always going to be people behind you. And of course, there will be people to your left and right as you do that. So I learned a whole lot from people who had gone on before me. And I wanted to pass along all the lessons I've learned. That's why I started the Year of an Indie Writer back in 2019, and I continued it here in 2020. Part of the idea was to things that I have experienced. Maybe I could, just pass on some lessons learned and that kind of thing. And well, it turns out one of them is video. Now, these things are low-key, and these things are bootstrapped at the time. I am currently working with my Chromebook right here, and it's in the front room of my house, right in front of my my wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling library. If you're like me and you watch the Stephen Colbert Show, for example, and he does his monologue in front of his bookshelves, half the time I'm watching the monologue, I'm looking at the books going, I recognize that one. I recognize that one. What's he reading? Oh, I love it. So some of you may be looking at my books and going, what does he have on his bookshelf? Now, I can tell you right now, I did not pre-plan what's behind me. It is as it is. Now, next week may be different, but you never know. Anyway, so lessons learned for independent writers or any writers that will come behind me or right now, actually. These videos are extremely easy to make. I literally have a Chromebook, and I'm pushing record, and I do have a mic, which is right here, and I just talk to the little white light, which is actually you. I'm looking at you right now. Just talking to you about what it's like to be an independent writer. And I upload this to YouTube, and it is about as seamless as you could imagine. I don't have any extra software yet that can enable me to put in fancy graphics or fade-ins or whatnot. So this is just live and in one take. But I just wanted to let everyone know that if you're interested in doing videos, just try it. Funny story. In doing the Wading into War read along this week, like I said, I did an introduction. Then I did all 19 chapters, and then I decided to do an afterward, mainly kind of like, hey, did you like it? Now that you've heard the story or read the story, here are some behind-the-scenes snippets of the characters, how I came up with them, that kind of thing. But what I found funny is when you look at the introduction. That was my first time doing it. I was very, not monotone, but I was very, I guess, camera shy. I don't know. And then each successive chapter, they're like what, 5 to 7 minutes, depending on length. It got easier. It got easier to look at the little light and not here at the screen, which is right here, and just talk to you. And so if you were to look at 2 videos from my Wading into War section, if you look at the intro and the afterward, you'll see a different kind of person. Because by the time I got to the afterward, which would be the 21st thing I did, 19 chapters plus the introduction, that's 20. Afterward would be the 21st thing. I'm a lot more comfortable doing this, talking to the Chromebook, kind of like I am now. At least I hope I am now. Maybe I'm not. If I'm talking too fast, in the comments, please let me know. I did make notes for myself to make sure I covered things for this 17th week of an indie writer. So that's all prelude. That's all prelude. So let's get into the indie writer self. One of the things I didn't mark down that just came to my mind was I've mentioned Christine Catherine Rush's weekly columns more than once. They come down on Thursdays, and they are all business related blog posts. She has been in the business for 40 plus years. She and her husband, Dean Wesley Smith, they've been in the traditional publishing field. They've been in the independent publishing field. They've kind of almost seen it all and done it all, except for this pandemic and what she's referring to as a black swan event. It's the thing you didn't see coming. If you were to just review her posts from Thursdays from 2020, how in January it was like, this is how you prepare for the decade, and then 2 months later she's writing things about this is how you prepare for this black swan event. It's fascinating. So I encourage you to bookmark her website and every Thursday go and read what she has to say about the business of writing, the business of publishing, and how this COVID-19 crisis is changing it as we speak. This week's entry was really kind of sobering. I mean, even for an independent writer like myself, it's unprecedented what's happening, obviously. But it's how agile writers, primarily independent writers that are doing things on their own, how they can adjust, adapt, and move forward in the environment that we exist. So I again encourage you, Christine Catherine Rush. It's called chriswrites.com. So that's KRIS, chriswrites.com. That is her website. That's the big things that I discovered this week on the writer's side. On the fun side, I saw a couple of news reports about the potential color e-reader. Now, I have got a Kindle, I have got a Kobo, I have got a Barnes & Noble Nook black and white e-reader. I love them all. The Barnes & Noble one I don't like as much because there is no internal light, but I love an e-reader. I love the simplicity. I love the battery life. I love being able to take it out on my patio and on my deck and just take the book that I'm reading on an e-reader device and take it outside in the sun and not have to worry about breaking it, and I can still read it on the screen. It's fantastic. There might be a color e-reader this year. That got me really excited. I read comic books on my iPad. The Comixology app is what I use, and especially in this time of comics not being distributed because the Diamond Distribution Group has shut down for a time, you can't get your current paper copies of books. Now, I'll admit I don't read a lot of monthly comic books on a monthly basis. I do wait until they get to trades and then I will go and pick up the trade, because pet peeve here, modern comic book writing is rarely written for a single issue consumption. It's written for a 6 or a 12 or some sort of large arc consumption, and it's rather annoying. That's where trade paperbacks come in. You get to read the entire arc front to back, and the story hangs together much better than it does in a single issue every 30 days or so. So, been using Comixology to pick up my new books. And side note there, slide plug, James Reasoner, the writer, he has been reading a bunch of of course I just now thought of it, and I should have planned ahead. I don't have my laptop, my iPad with me, so never mind. I'll plug it later. But there's a series of war comics that he has been reading that are really good, and I really enjoy them. So I'll stick to the notes so I don't just go off on random tangents. Fun things I'm doing nowadays. So we're all watching a ton of TV. Now I've got Disney Plus, I've got Netflix, I've got Hulu, I got regular old cable too. I still watch live TV. I still love live TV. But one of the things that I have been digging into is the Rockford Files. And it turns out I have got season 1 on DVD. So I have been watching, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've watched 5 of the first 5 episodes of season 1, and I gotta tell you, it's great. James Garner has an interview on the first disc, and it's an interview with him, I think in 2008, 2004. It's in the 2000s. He's looking back and talking about the process of making the shows, and it's great fun. And man, I'm just really digging the Rockford Files, and I think if you are a mystery lover, that means you probably love the Rockford Files. So if you haven't seen the Rockford Files, it's not streaming. I've checked all the different sources because I'm stuck with having to find the DVD player in my house, whether that be in the front room or the game room. I just have to find a spot that my family is not using so I can dig through and watch these old episodes. I love the pace. I love the characterization. And one of the things he commented on in the interview was the censors wouldn't let them have too many gunfights, so they had to have a lot of car chases. And this is 1974 car chases with 1974 cars. Yeah, it's awesome. And I think that the lack of a gun, I think, helped the character come alive in a unique way, because how many PIs and cops just carried guns and shot stuff instead of talking. And Rockford's the guy who's got to talk himself out of things more than he actually he's not even gotten in a fight in the first 5 episodes. Or he's gotten in a fight, he's gotten beat up, but he has not he has not fought back, which is, I thought, kind of interesting too. So anyway, so looking at my list here, I have talked about Rockford Files, check, and Wading into War, check, Year of an Indie Writer, check, which leaves, which may be my last thing if I don't get off track. Everyone can't go to bookstores, and it sucks. Here in Houston, we have Murder by the Book bookstore, which is the mystery bookstore, which is awesome. We've got Blue Willow Books Shop, which is out here in West Houston near my house. There's Brazos Bookstore, and of course there's the comic book stores like Bedrock City and Third Planet. They're all closed. They have curbside pickup and they have online ordering, but there's just nothing like going to go browse in a bookstore. One of the other bookstores that my family and I love is Half Price Books. My son likes to get new music all the time. I like to get movies, and the wife likes to get books and movies and CDs. It is one of our favorite places to go, and we didn't quite go every weekend, but it's close. It's close, and one of the things we're all missing is Half Price Books. Half Price Books themselves have been closed. They recently opened for curbside pickup again. This will be the week of April 20th, so they're back to curbside pickup. So if you do have a Half Price bookstore near you, type in your zip code and you can actually browse through the bookstore near your house. I was able to browse through some of the bookstore, some of the offerings they had at my local one. They didn't have anything I was actually looking for, but they did have something on the website that was really cool. The mystery grab bag. Now, when you go on Half Price Bookstore's website, which is hpb.com, one of the options is a mystery grab bag. Now, there's, I think, young adult grab bag and probably romance grab bag or just regular old fiction grab bag. But the mystery grab bag is what I picked. And what it is, someone at one of their stores picks 5 books for you. Now, I love the randomness of selections. I love the randomness of, for example, going to a condo in a beach house and there are 4 books on the bookshelf that someone left, and there are books that you never have read yourself. I started reading a lead child book that way. I was like, oh, there's a lead child book. I've never actively gone and read a lead child book. Here's one here. Let's go read it. So I love the randomness of this concept. I love the randomness of all the little what are the little book shacks called that are all around the country? The little libraries, I think, or the little neighborhood libraries, whatever. I love the randomness of going to places and just going, oh, I never thought about that book. Why don't I get that? So, my wife, she reads a ton and she reads fast. And she likes mystery books, so she says, hey, why don't you get us a mystery grab bag? I did, and it came this week. 5 books, and I have them right here for you. I have read none of these books, and I have read none of these authors. No, I have read one of the authors, and I'll tell you that in a second. But this is what I got in the mystery grab bag. 1 paperback, 4 hardbacks. So, number 1 is this one. There you go. Okay, it's called Exposed by Lisa Scottoline. Scottoline, I don't know, but it's got my name in it, so that is pretty cool. So, this is book number 1. I've never read anything by her, so I'm excited to try it. Hardback number 1, Mary Higgins Clark. Now, I have read one of her books once before. It was one of their Christmas books called The Christmas Thief. I enjoyed it, and I mean, the lady wrote 80 books or something like that. I mean, she knows how to tell a story, so I'm looking forward to digging in another book of hers. 3rd book on the list is this one by Harold Robbins called The Predators. I know the name Harold Robbins, never read a single book by him, so randomness, here it is. These are in no order, by the way. The fourth book on the list is Steve Hamilton called The Lock Artist. Now, again, I know the name, I know all these names, but there's always never enough time to read books. And ironically, even though I'm working from home, I'm actually working longer hours and having less time to do reading. Well, I know it's a good thing to have with the working from home thing, but I'm actually reading less and I'm listening to books less, but I'm looking forward to getting these 5. The 5th book on the list was an interesting one because it is John Sanford's Naked Prey. Now, his latest book called Neon Naked or Neon Prey, I think Prey is the common name in all of them. Yes, Prey is the common name. So his latest book that's in paperback is called Neon Prey. Now, part of the whole randomness of books and of books that you pick at random is the books that are available in grocery stores. I like having just, 25, 30, 35 books to pick from, and those are all bestsellers. I understand that. And John Sanford, I noticed his brand new book, there's a cat right here. That's not my cat. It's kind of weird. You want to slide over here? There he is. So there's a strange random cat. Who knew? This is what you get when you don't have editing capabilities. So anyway, I saw John Sanford's newest Neon Prey book, and I said, he's got dozens of those books. I've never read them. Why not give it a go? And then Naked Prey shows up in the mystery grab bag. So if you have an opportunity and you are liking the idea of getting a random selection of 5 mystery books, I recommend Half Price Books Mystery Grab Bag. I have to admit, it's a little distracting with Mr. Cat right here. I don't want to actually make him go away, but we have a cat in the house, and maybe he's looking for her. Who knows? But I'll do this. Maybe you'll like the cat. I don't know. Let's keep the cat in the frame. Of course, you're going to be looking at the cat the entire time, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so this is about 20 minutes long. I didn't know how long this was going to take. I didn't know how long I should take. So I hope you enjoyed this 17th entry into the Year of an Indie Writer. This counts as my Do Some Damage entry this week. I've been doing it for 11 years, well, almost 11 years since all the way since 2009. Speaking of Do Some Damage, did you happen to read the Exquisite Corpse story that was published this past week? I only got to read the beginning. I'm looking forward to keeping on, but boy, it was a blast to read, wasn't it? It's available for download. If you look, I think it's Monday that Steve put up all the files. If not, just go back to the webpage for about a week, and you can look at all the daily entries, because man, I just love the community that we have around here that gets to do this kind of thing. So anyway, that's it for me today. So this is Scott Parker signing off. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay at home, and stay out of the way. And think about the cat. Until next week, bye.